Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 26 of the Patchman Hockey Show. We're the Patchman. I'm Jimmy, and that's...
And I'm John, and tonight we're talking about the Ottawa Senators' 20th anniversary patch.
That's right. That they wore only once during in the final home game of the 2011-2012 season. And here's the patch right here for everybody watching at home. So we'll be jumping into this shortly, but first, you got to ask everybody here, John, what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? Yeah. So, continuing on this try beer, talk about the beer, rate the beer kind of experiment we're doing. Tonight, I have the Ship Bottom Brewery, the local stout. It's a collab with a coffee shop down the shore. It's a coffee stout. Black coffee with a creamy tan head, notes of coffee and oatmeal. So give it a taste. That's pretty good. So I haven't had a coffee stout in a while. So I don't even think I had one all season. So it's good. It's got good flavor. It's like local beer, Ship Bottom. Me and Jimmy are from that area, so familiar with the Long Beach Island area.
Yeah, there weren't any breweries when we were living down there. We're not originally from there, but we spent our high school years there.
Yeah, we're from up north.
Yeah, we're North Jersey transplants, and now we're back up north. We transplanted back up north. But yeah, that's the breweries have definitely taken off down there since we left. We haven't lived down there in over 10 years.
There are breweries everywhere in New Jersey now. Like we have one in a town.
Right.
I'm sure there's one in Randolph.
Right? There is. Yeah, there is. I forget the name of it, but I haven't checked it out yet. So that's cool, man. So I have...
Yeah, what do you got?
I have a local beer, of course. Jersey Girl Brewing. Is this even... Oh, this doesn't really...
Yeah, that's good.
Good. Cool. It's called Running with the Devil. Devil's Beer. Running with the Devil's Beer. It's an amber lager. I've had this one before, as you know, John, because I sent you a picture of it. Let me crack this guy open. Yeah. Yeah, this is a great beer. And the cool thing about this, so it's an amber lager, but there is a hoppy finish to it. So
interesting.
There's a nice aftertaste. So you get the hops in that bitterness. A little citrusy too, but it is a nice, like, easy drinker. Coming in at a 4.9 ABV. Nice for Sunday brunch right now. Because we're recording at 12:30 on Sunday. So sorry, folks, we're a little late with the episode, dropping the episode. It's been a busy week, but we're back. Just running a little late.
Yeah, but we've been pretty good in rolling them out. Somewhat on time and pretty much on a regular schedule. But as the weather gets nicer, daylight savings time, sun's out for longer, want to be outside.
Right.
Got baby, got a lot going on. So
yeah.
We haven't forgotten about it anymore.
And so John and I were kicking ourselves after last week's episode because we talked about Claude Giroux's 1,000th game being played, and on that Thursday, so about 10 days ago in Philadelphia, and then he was traded to the Panthers. So we got that part right, that he was traded to the Florida Panthers. However, even though we had mentioned that the team was wearing Claude Giroux jerseys during warmups, there was a patch made, and that we totally missed
I can't believe we didn't get that. And it's a cool looking patch too, so we're definitely going to cover it. But how about that? Oh yeah, he might get traded to Panthers. Cool. It's his night. Comes out with a patch.
Right. It's a really good looking patch. It's big. It really pops, stands out on those Flyers black jerseys. So, but I made a post shortly after that. But next time we'll just try to definitely see if they would have a patch. And you know what? We should have known better actually, because Patrick Marleau had a patch and they wore it.
Yep.
So when he had the most games played. So yep, we just got caught with our pants down on that one, folks. Oh man. All right. So let's jump
Yeah.
into this one. So like we mentioned at the top of the show, we're looking at the 20th anniversary patch for the Ottawa Senators. This celebrating 20 years, the second reincarnation of the team. And so there was a bunch of news happening this season, and there's a lot of good content here. Thanks, John, for sharing that.
Yeah.
So for those watching on YouTube, you can see the patch, or actually, if you're listening to the podcast, you obviously see the patch. So you know what's interesting, John? I when I was doing this, the artwork for the show
Yep.
yesterday, I actually had to take a picture of the patch because I couldn't find any online that were high res to use. So I took a picture of it and then like cropped out the
Oh,
background.
how about that? That's funny.
Yeah. So this is actually my patch. So that's this one here. That's funny.
It's coming through all right, right? On your side, it's a little dark on mine. So
What, the
the
graphic?
color, yeah. It's
Yeah,
not like shaded.
it looks fine.
Okay,
Looks
cool.
good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it just has something to do with presenting over here. But,
Probably.
yeah.
So anyway, so the interesting thing, like I mentioned earlier, and looking at the notes, the research for the show, the team only wore this once. So I don't understand that.
How about that? And how hard was it to find the patch on the jersey in the game picture, in like a game picture?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I had the same problem. Like, all right, I'm gonna find a picture of this patch. I want to like see it on the players. It was pretty much impossible.
It was so hard, and then I finally found that it was worn on April 5th,
Yep.
2012, against the Boston Bruins, their last home game. And it looks great. And I don't understand why they just didn't wear it the entire season, because it's a nice compliment to their jersey.
It's not bad. Exactly. Like I don't know. Like I would love to know the real reason.
Right.
Can only speculate. Either they didn't want to do it. They had the All-Star patch on there too. So I don't know. I was hoping you'd find out.
I thought you were going to find out. I guess we could speculate, and I kind of think that maybe because there was so many events happening that season, it was kind of like the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, whatever bakery reference you want to use. But
The frosting on the cupcake.
This is the ketchup on the French fry. The Big Mac sauce on the Big Mac. So stupid. But anyway, more fucking dad jokes here. So yeah, I just think it's like to cap off the season. They wore the patch at the last home game of the year. But John, did you see this? The cool thing about this wasn't the original patch.
Exactly. It wasn't the original patch. The original patch, the patch for the season should have been the original patch, because the concept for it was so much better looking than this one. I'm not saying this is a bad looking patch, because it's not, especially
Right.
compared to other ones that we've reviewed in the past that have like, it's literally just the numbers and the crest. The other one was great.
Other one was
and I will
awesome.
pull up a picture of it too. Let me see.
Yeah,
Boom.
this is this is badass.
It's badass. It's a good looking patch.
Yeah, that because so shout out to Iceletics.com for sharing this 10 years ago, I guess. But they're a great site, great resource that we constantly go back to. But this patch, the original the designer of it wanted to originally incorporate the team's history. So the original Ottawa Senators, which is funny because if you look at the story of the Ottawa Senators, they were founded in 1883 and lasted till about 1934, and then they were split. And then I forget what they split into, but then they didn't come back. Ottawa didn't have a team until 1992, and
Yeah.
so it's
It's
kind of
easy to
funny.
forget that.
Yeah, so they actually won 11 Stanley Cups as the original Ottawa Senators. So, oh yeah, this is some cool find. That that original patch, that logo was based off of the original Stanley Cup champions of 1909. This background is kind of hard to see. It took me a little while to see the resemblance between that patch and then that team photo of winning the Stanley Cup in
Yeah, it's
1909.
mostly like the outline they're trying to get out,
Right.
right?
Yeah. It's definitely the outline. I just realized something. I'm like blinking on the screen. Do you see that? Like my shirt is changing colors?
Yeah, I think it's got to do with your shirt and the share in the background.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yo,
funny.
man, you got one of those new LA Gear shirts.
I'm getting a seizure. I got different shades of red over here.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put up a warning, like a warning before we put the show on YouTube.
It's
Seizure
like
warning.
when you open up a new video game, right? All the lighting can cause seizures. So so now I'm distracted. But anyway, so this patch, it didn't actually make it to be embroidered or anything. It If it was, I would easily put this up there in what our top patches of all time. Right
Yeah,
up there, Minnesota, the North Stars patch, the Islanders 25th patch.
yeah, and
What
like,
There's a lot going on here.
and you know, I love those Roman numerals. So there's two X's, 92. It's a great looking patch.
Is an
Um,
awesome looking patch. The gold, like just very what's the word I'm looking for? Like like I don't I can forget it. Doesn't I can't even
no, I know what you're trying to say, and I'm sure other people know what you're
imperial
trying to say.
looking? Imperial looking?
Like
Is that
regal, maybe
yes.
like something like
Yes.
that.
Royal.
Yeah,
Roy. Yeah.
yeah. It's like
Because
I got
this
the
one has the ribbon and it's got the Roman numerals, the shield, a nice shield, and then their current logo at the time, 3D Senator. Sorry, not to cut you off.
no. I had
What were
nothing
you
to say.
gonna say?
No, I had
Oh,
nothing to say. I was gonna say the same thing. I was gonna say, they went from the 2D to the 3D. So, and now they rolled with that 3D center look.
yeah. If you go back and you look at the first 20 years of the Ottawa Senators, yeah, they had that 2D logo, those classic jerseys, which actually they brought back this past season. And I love them, and they're very similar to the Devils' old style jerseys in terms of the number, the trim and the stripes on the sleeves. But the 3D logo came. It was the third jersey, if you remember. They came out, and that's kind of what teams did in the 90s. They would have a third jersey, and if it really took off, that would be they would introduce an away jersey of that one or a home one, and then
Yep.
they go with that set. And then they actually had a black version. Remember the black jersey that they had with the gold and the red, the trim? It was a lot going on, but it was cool.
Was that the one where it said just sends across it?
No, the one like before that, like in the early 2000s, it had the 3D logo, but it had
There's
like the
red.
gold
Yeah,
trim,
yeah, with the gold trim. Okay.
kind of like tile looking, like squares.
Yep.
That I used to love that jersey. That jersey was awesome. So
That was
Ottawa's had
that was
some
another
cool
one where
jerseys.
you like walked into the store and you're like, "Wow, that's a cool jersey." It just like pops right out. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna share it. It reminded me of like traffic cones on it because I remember like specifically seeing this jersey. Let me pull it in. And it was Yeah, for some reason, like whenever I saw it, I would be like, oh, like that reminds me of like a traffic cone.
That's it.
Yeah, and like you got they change up the face too on this one. Or I guess
Yeah.
it's the old face, but
Yeah, so it wasn't tile. That yeah, I was thinking of I don't know what I was thinking of, like a Carolina Hurricanes thing. But yeah, this trim, I love that because they made that gold trim, they took the element out of the logo, out of the helmet.
yep,
If you notice that, that's so cool. Yeah, it's very detailed. The face is very detailed on this. Aggressive looking, just looking
God, it
right
was
at
so
you.
interesting the concepts that they would just. I feel like they would just come up with an idea and be like, all right, we're gonna do this, boom, like let's roll with it.
Yeah, it really is. It's not a classic look. I wouldn't even call it like a clean look. It just is
No,
aggressive and sort of cartoonish in a way.
yeah, but all right,
That's
so
awesome.
yeah,
I
so talking about
wish it was
traffic
a
cones,
patch.
got to keep this podcast in line, right?
Yeah, let's go back. So so now that you had a sneak peek of the original, what was to be the patch, and honestly, the real reason why they didn't use it, it didn't really say what the reason was because
No,
originally the team wanted to incorporate um they wanted to celebrate the original Ottawa Senators, but then it's really just the 20 years of the second version of the Ottawa Senators. So and maybe that's why it was scratched. I don't know. But it's not like this one is too bad. It's classic. It's pretty clean.
yeah, I mean, I think it's they did a good job. They did a good job, comparing. This is our second 20-year patch. We did Dallas. A Dallas patch had a lot going on in it. So it's a pretty good contrast. Dallas one, you had Dallas skyline, you got the numbers, you got the Dallas stars, you got the year.
That's right. Yeah.
This one you got the 92 to 2012. That's not a decade. That's a decade, not a year, all right? To quote Jimmy from last week.
Well, if I didn't correct you, somebody else would.
Yeah, exactly. But they did a lot better job with this than, let's say, the Calgary one, where this font is in line with the team. It's pretty simple. Good use of like the negative space, and it was a decent size on a jersey. Not too small, not too big.
For sure, dude. Absolutely. And the interesting thing is when I was editing the graphic for the show yesterday, I made a mistake when I was taking out the background. It's called a magic eraser tool in Photoshop. I accidentally like took out the entire white background of this patch. So then I was looking at it, I'm like, oh wow, if they actually took out the white background, it would look, I think, even sharper. I just picture it without the white background.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, just kind of an interesting thought. Some things happen by accident, right? So, and I should have left it like that, but that's okay, whatever.
Yeah, it looks good.
It looks good. You got the ribbon there. You got the 3D Senator and 20. Awesome. Good looking patch. Excuse me. So,
Cool. You want to get
uh,
into the season?
yeah, let's jump into the season. So, the Ottawa Senators, they were coming off a pretty poor season from the year before, and they were looking to reset. And basically, they finished the 2011-2012 season with a 41 wins, 31 losses, and 10 shootout losses record, and they just barely made the playoffs. So they actually finished second in the Northeast Division, but eighth in the conference.
I was gonna comment on that too, because I'm like, oh, all right, they did all right. They were in a rebuild year, so I'm like, oh, all right. So I'm like, then I looked at the conference standings. I'm like, oh wow. So that Atlantic or what was it, Atlantic to Northeast Division?
Northeast Division. Yeah, this was
Yeah.
before they realigned the conferences.
Yeah, I was like, that Northeast Division, oof. I'm like, not good. And I was looking at the alignment and I'm like, Boston, like, so, Boston's playing. I feel like I think Boston should be in the Metropolitan right now, personally. But I was like, all right, Boston's playing with all these Canadian teams. And I just don't think it was a good fit. I'm glad they keep like reshuffling, realigning it. Um,
It-
but yeah,
y-
that conference was not good that year.
well, it was a weird scenario because the Atlanta Thrashers in the offseason had just moved to Winnipeg, but they couldn't. I think the schedules were already set. So it's funny because if you go back and you look at the Eastern Conference standings, yeah, Ottawa is 8th, Buffalo is 9th, Tampa Bay's 10th, and the Winnipeg Jets are 11th, and then the Carolina Hurricanes. It
That's funny.
Yeah, that is really funny how that worked
Yeah, and
out.
this is when Detroit was in the West too.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and also too, this was back when so you would have, and this is the format that we grew up on, and this is what I prefer instead of how it is with the wild card now, because I guess it's easier for me to remember. One plays 8, two plays 7, three
Yeah.
plays 6, and then 4 and 5 play. So if you're looking at these standings, you have the Florida Panthers in third place. Oh, because the division leaders automatically get the first, second, and third spots.
Yep.
So if you look at what team doesn't belong here, the Florida Panthers have 38 wins. And meanwhile, everybody else has more wins than they do. So
Yeah, at
it's
least 40.
right. And
Wow.
yeah, Eastern Conference was really good this season. And
Damn, 18 overtime losses for the Panthers. That sucks. Wow.
oh yeah.
But no, like you were saying, Eastern Conference was good this year.
Yeah, really good. So before we go into the playoffs, so just they made some moves in the offseason. They fired head coach Corey Clouston at the end of the 2010-11 season, and then they hired Brian Murray for the job, and he came on board
Scotty Bowman
with.
guy, right?
Is he a Scotty Bowman guy?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Brian
sure
Murray?
it was.
He might have been, not entirely. He might have been. I don't know. I don't know for sure. But he's been around for a very long time. Unfortunately, Brian Murray actually died in August 12th, 2017, at the age of 74. Unfortunately, because he had stage 4 colon cancer and spread to his liver and his lungs. Very, very tragic. But he was a fighter, fought to the very end. So he was the coach that season. Paul McLean was an assistant coach.
Paul McLean's the Bowman guy.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he came from the Wings.
Yeah. Actually, I'm sorry. No, what am I saying? I'll have to cut this out of the show. Brian Murray was the general manager. Paul McLean was the coach.
Yeah, that's what I was getting confused, man.
Sorry, I'm like I misread my notes here. I misread it. So,
I was like, isn't Paul McLean the coach? No. Great.
hey, this is a live recording. Anything could happen.
My God, Steve Austin's coming. No.
So anyway, Brian Murray was the GM. Excuse me. Paul McLean with that famous mustache was the coach.
Yeah.
Captain Danny Alfredsson, alternate captains Chris Phillips, Jason Spezza, and the team leader in goals. Sorry, John. I don't know if you wanted to jump in here a little bit.
No, I was going to make a comment. Danny Alfredsson was 38 this season.
Yeah, that's right. He
So
was.
it's like, all right, so Danny Alfredson's 38. Like, who else is on? Like, Spezza's on the team. He's probably like 30. Like, just taking a guess. Like, they're rebuilding around like what? Like, we'll get it, like you said, like the rebuilding season, they offloaded a bunch of people, and they're like, all right, we're gonna rebuild around like a 38-year-old and Spezza
right.
and like Carlson was on the team too, I think, right?
Yeah, Erik Karlsson. Yep.
Yeah.
I think he was on his third or fourth season with the Sens.
But no, I just thought that was funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so let's see here. What else? So speaking of Erik Karlsson, he led the team with assists with 59 assists. Goals were led by Milan McCulloch, who I barely remember him. I think he might have had like a couple decent seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm just gonna double check here. Yeah, I think he was supposed to be actually, he put up some decent numbers. But he's with the Sharks and the Senators. I just completely forgot about him. But yeah, he was a star player for the Senators. And then points, Jason Spezza with 84 points. And so it's funny, you mentioned Danny Alfredsson before. He was a longtime Ottawa Senator, spent his entire career. Actually, was he traded to Detroit? He might have signed with Detroit. Yes, he did with Detroit. And he played with the Detroit Red Wings trying to win a Stanley Cup.
Yep.
That didn't happen. But yeah, he was. So at the time, there's actually a quote that he said, like, it's great to celebrate. I'm paraphrasing. It's great to celebrate 20 years, Ottawa Senators, and this is my 16th season. So holy crap! Like, he's been around for quite a long time at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, and his number is retired and hanging from the Scotia Bank Place where the Senators play. So shout out to him. And then you mentioned the All-Star game before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Great.
So another All-Star patch, and then the Hockey Hall of Fame patch too. The Hall of Fame game patch. I'm not sure if they wore it like that though. So I saw this. I'm like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame games, they're cool. So I think it's anybody who plays the Toronto Maple Leafs because it's Hockey Hall of Fame's in Toronto. So, because I think the Devils one year wore that same patch. So I guess there's a Hockey Hall of Fame night that they celebrate every season in Toronto, which is cool. I think it's a great looking patch. Eventually, we're gonna talk about it because there's so many games that are linked to that patch.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's Hockey Hall of Fame weekend. So actually, John, talking out loud about this, we could talk about the players inducted into the Hall of Fame in addition to the games because the patch hasn't really changed at all.
No, it's not. That would be a good show.
So that's an
Write
idea.
that down.
Yeah,
Put
that's
that
an
on
idea.
the old whiteboard.
Yeah, big. And again, this is when I tell people about our show. It's so cool because they're honestly all these patches are just time capsules.
Oh yeah. It's
There's
not, it doesn't
snapshots,
represent just the game. It's like what went on in the game, the people, snapshots in time, like
ceremonies that
memories.
took place. Yeah, memories. It's awesome. Nobody does it like we do.
No, no. No, no,
Which
no, no.
which if you're enjoying what you're hearing so far, what you're watching, please subscribe to the show and follow us. Because right here on Patchman Hockey, we talk about NHL history. And the stories behind the patch.
Every
Every
patch
patch
has
has
a
a
story.
story. It's that simple.
Oh man.
Too funny. But so that All-Star game patch, which we'll probably go into it in a separate show.
Yeah.
But that's a cool looking patch. And it looks great. So, I don't think we talked about the Ottawa Senators, the original black jersey that they had. What do you think about this set of the jerseys where once they took the logo and they made it 3D, and then this is a Reebok era style
Yeah,
jersey.
Edge jersey. Yeah.
What do you think about this?
I don't know. So like I think it's, again, with the Reebok jersey, like they got rid of, like, some teams got rid of the bottom stripe completely.
Yeah.
So you got that. I don't know. You got like the curved stripes on the arms, big and blocky. like personally, like I've never really been a big fan of the Senators jerseys. Um, so like I
Like
don't know.
ever, or just the set?
I would say like ever. Like I just never really was a big fan. Um,
Hmm.
so like I don't know, and they got a lot like they got the Ottawa patches on the shoulders with the big O. Not my favorite jersey. What about you?
I'm not a fan of the Reebok style jerseys. I don't really like when they did this, and I'm glad you mentioned that before because that was and like we talked about the piping on the Reebok Edge jerseys a while back, but what we didn't talk about was how they completely just took away the bottom trim of these jerseys, and it's just like a white shirt, and it looks so fucking stupid. Like it's just
Yeah.
blank. It's empty space. It's nothing. And eh, I I don't know. Like I get the design. It's a little bit more dynamic, I guess you call it, because it's not your traditional stripes on the jerseys. But I hate their road jerseys. At least the red one's a little bit more bearable. But it's just,
Mhm.
especially, it looked bad on the away jerseys. The white away jerseys are terrible.
Yeah. Like the jerseys from this year, like blow these ones out of the water.
Totally. Well, and they went back to
Like,
their original set.
yeah.
Yeah, like I think one in particular that comes to my mind was the LA Kings. They're like they had I don't know if they were I don't know if they switched completely to the silver and black look yet, but I think when they still had the purple, like they dropped the purple trim at the bottom was just white. I'm like,
Which
what are you
makes no
guys
sense
doing?
because like that was a big part of the jersey. Didn't it, I think it said like Los Angeles on it,
Right. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It had
Yep.
like some kind
Yep.
of design.
Totally.
I don't know. Not a fan.
Yeah, not a fan of that at all. But I do actually like how they sense I love their shoulder patches. It's simple and it pays homage to the original Ottawa Senators. So that's cool. As like secondary
Mhm.
logos on the
Yep.
shoulders. I like that. That works. And which actually that should lead us into their heritage jersey that they wore this season, right?
Yeah, so let me pull that up. So they wore a heritage jersey this season. It replaced their third jersey from the previous season, which was, if anyone's familiar with, it's the black jersey. It said Sens across it. Just said
That was
Sens.
lame as fuck.
Sens, cool.
Set
Like
bolts. Yeah, just
again,
like
like what we
Tampa.
were saying.
But
Let's get a concept. Something pops in your head. All right, we're gonna make that.
yeah, it was whack. It was completely whack.
So this so with this jersey, they wore it in commemoration of the 11 Stanley Cups they won. So they wore this 11 times at home and they wore it one time on the road. Um, so I
Yeah.
think I like this one. Like I think this is a good looking jersey. Um,
Yeah.
and it's got that it's interesting, you know? It's got big blocky stripes, but they're straight and it fits well on the jersey.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think teams could get away with just having a letter as their logo like they did in the early 1900s. I mean, because I would just
No,
say, hey, let's
this isn't college football now, you know?
right, like, but this works really well, and I think honestly the best element of this jersey is the cream white, that old school white, like vintage heritage white, whatever you want to call it. I think it
Mhm.
looks great, and I as like an early NHL jersey, hey, I think it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what the interesting thing is? Like everyone talks about the original six hockey teams. Like the Ottawa Senators were, I don't, I don't know. Like they stopped playing for a few years. Like I think right when the league started.
Mhm.
So they weren't in the mix just at that point. So I don't know. Their story is kind of the original Senators are kind of all over the place, but this is an original jersey, great looking jersey.
Yeah, agreed.
And I love those shoulder patches too, that shield.
Yeah, so I was looking, so Ottawa Senators, and then it says in Canadian on the other one.
Oh, what does it say on the
Senatories,
other one?
whatever. It says it in Canadian. I'm sorry.
Canadian.
Excuse me. There is no language called Canadian. It says it in French. God. So it says it in French on the other shoulder patch. So
Maybe we should stop drinking beers when we do this. We're both fucking up today.
yeah,
That's
really.
funny. Speaking Canadian. You speak Canadian, eh?
Hey,
Hey.
Canada. All right. So a few other things like I found from this season. They replaced scoreboard. And that's cool. So they
Yeah, I
put
saw
one of
that.
the big LED ones or LCD ones that time. With the rings on the top and bottom, which now you see everywhere. So it's kind of progressive, I guess. They hosted All-Star Game, Hall of Fame patch. We talked about that. They also completed the Rink of Dreams. So that rink outside of the arena.
Yeah, I
How cool
saw
was
that.
that?
Yeah, outdoor skating rink at Ottawa City Hall.
Yeah, and they hosted some of the events for the Hall of Fame game there, and some stuff during All-Star weekend. So
That's cool. Yeah, that worked out really well. And that I think the rink was $1.25 million, and actually $1 million of it was funded by the Senators Foundation charity, which I
okay,
think I saw something. I don't know if it was last season or the year before, but I think now the Senators Foundation charity is separated from the team in some degree. I could be wrong, but I could have sworn I saw that. Kind of bizarre. I
hmm.
guess you have an unofficial Senators Foundation charity. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested if there's a patch, like the Goals for Kids patch.
Oh, dude, there might
That's another
be.
thing with like Winnipeg and being affiliated with a charity. So should look into that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I also saw that they had 7 games during the preseason, and the 3 games at home, 3 games on the road, and then 1 neutral site setting, and they would play the Winnipeg Jets in Conception Bay, South Newfoundland, as part of the Kraft Hockeyville celebrations. But the
Hmm.
game was eventually moved to Mile One Center by Conception Bay South to maximize the use of arena upgrade dollars for renovations instead of preparing their arena for the exhibition game. So Kraft Hockeyville, um, from what I've seen, I haven't really looked into it all that much, but basically, Kraft Hockeyville is just an annual game sponsored by Kraft Heinz, and the NHL and the NHLPA, uh, to just show off the game, to show off the sport in these small town communities, and it's a big celebration. And it's been a big hit, and it's been going on now. I think since 2006 or so, 2007,
Oh, wow.
2006, yeah. So they just I think you can actually vote. Yeah, communities are invited to submit their nominations, and it requires one short essay and photographs or video depicting the community's hometown pride and passion for the game. And then a judging panel selects the finalists, and the winner is determined by a public vote. So this is really cool. But my only gripe with this is I don't think it's actually in the US. I think it's just in Canada. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. There's Kraft Hockeyville, USA.
Yeah. So in 2021, only the Canadian contest ran. So
Yeah.
we got to look into what's going on in 2022. But I think I'm sure it had something to do with COVID.
Okay. So
Yeah,
okay,
because
because
in 21 they played in El Paso, Texas.
that's right.
The
Okay.
Coyotes and the Stars. Um, and then
Yes.
yeah, 2022. I guess they got to figure it out.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the winners and preseason games. They have this whole list here, and I remember some of them because when you watch the national broadcast, whatever it was, the NHL on NBC NBC Sports Network versus God forbid, remember versus or the Outdoor Life Network, they would show
Versus, oh
this,
my god, versus, yeah.
and it was what a disaster, especially before it became versus and it was called the Outdoor Life Network. Like you go to a bar, yeah, hey, you got the Outdoor Life Network? I want to watch some hunting. I want to watch some hockey and then some duck hunting.
Fishing.
But look, I'm glad they actually did go to the US because when you look this up, it's primarily in Canada, but they
Yeah.
had a game in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Not
They
my
had
town, but
not your town, no. They didn't have one in Jamestown either.
Heard they had one in Jamesburg though. So,
Ah, there you go.
God, it's terrible.
And yeah, one in El Paso, Texas. That's cool. I mean, that's you have to bring the game to these different places, especially in the South. Because I mean, hockey is the official sport of Canada, but once you
Yeah.
get into like the deep heart of like the Midwest or the South and the States, or even in some of these obscure locations in Canada, just bring that, should bring the game there, and then that's how you grow the game.
Yeah, and especially in like some parts of the United States, like we're lucky we're in New Jersey because I right now I have maybe 5 rinks within 20 minutes of me. In Florida, no way. Like where my parents live, there's maybe 1 rink within
You
like
know?
a half hour radius, and then after that you got to drive everywhere. My 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 cousin on the other side of my family, he goes to Florida State, and they actually play their games in Georgia because that's the closest rink. And
Really?
like the Tallahassee and Georgia, they're not too far apart, but there's no like local rink. Meanwhile, here you have how many high schools in New Jersey? We have over 500 towns, and I would say at least 3/4 of them have an ice hockey team, which have a rink. So it's good to get the exposure.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the game has. I mean, just speaking of New Jersey, John and I, when we went to high school, we played on our high school ice hockey team's first ever season, the inaugural season. There was not a patch for that, unfortunately, but that was something cool to say that, hey, we were part of our high school's first ever ice hockey team, and it was just varsity. It wasn't like I was JV and varsity. No, it was just
Mhm.
varsity, and it honestly was a bunch of roller hockey scrubs just trying to put it together on the ice. Remember that? Remember the first year? So 10th grade, it was a recreation thing, recreation hockey,
Yep.
or intramural is the word. Yeah,
Intramural.
intramural.
Yeah, and then junior and senior, they made it, to varsity, and we got crushed so bad because like we had no feeder program, no like development league in our town or at a few towns over, but nothing like it was the first go at it. But
Yep.
now you look at the short conference and everyone's got a team now.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
went to yeah, you're right, spot on. We went to Southern Regional High School in Manahawkin, New Jersey, so that's the town to get into Long Beach Island for anybody listening. And that the hockey program really didn't exist. They had a really good roller hockey program,
Yep.
and when we so when they were always trying to get an ice hockey rink in town. I don't know what happened if there just wasn't enough funding for it, or because I think was it supposed to be on school grounds too? What, like
Yeah, I
where the
think
football field
that
are
was the plan. It was
by
it
the middle
was gonna be
school?
like out of school, and then they were gonna move it down to another piece of property that the township owned. I just don't think it had the traction. Like they couldn't get enough people behind it. Um, to use a rink. And there's so many public rinks in New Jersey that I'm really surprised they just never built it, even to this day.
Yeah, so we had to get on the bus and go to practice in Atlantic City. So if anybody knows the distance and the time on a school bus, forget driving in your car, but on a school bus going, the speed limit, it would
Yeah.
take probably about 40 minutes or so, maybe 45 minutes to go from high school to Atlantic City at the Flyer Skate Zone. And
Yeah.
that's we would have our games there.
Getting back at like
Practices,
midnight
games. Yeah, it
after
was a
games.
very it was so long. I mean, just it was too much. And then finally they moved to the program moved to Tom's River, which is closer by far, but they still to this day don't have their own rink in town.
Yeah.
But I mean, the good thing is we both played at Winding River and Tom's River, and you just see all the banners of all the schools. I mean, Tom's River has what, 3 or 4 high schools that play. Brick
Yeah.
has 2. There's so many high schools now. The game of hockey has grown in New Jersey so much, and we've seen that. We've been a part of it. And it's just that experience of this is new. But I think we were playing hockey. I was playing ice hockey in Brick before that. I just started playing ice hockey, and that was a long ride too from Manahawk, and now we play ice hockey all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I do. You haven't been playing that much lately.
Hey, I had a baby, man.
For good reason. Yeah.
I got an excuse for at least like another like 6 months. Yeah, I got a baby. Can't do that. I got a baby.
Yeah, but we used to play roller hockey a lot, and there was a big roller hockey community. There's 2 rinks at the park to play.
Yeah, and it was really organized too. So town did a great job of with the roller hockey program.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
The teams, practices, everything was all organized, set up, and there's 2 rinks. They had refs, and you could start when you could skate when you're like 4 years old. So it's all about getting the kids into it early, especially hockey.
Do you remember like the epic pick? So I only played in the I mean, we're going way off the rails here, and we're gonna get back on track here. But since we're talking about small town communities and hockey, do you remember the epic roller hockey games we used to have like high school during high school? Not like pickup games, not in the SHL, just like, hey, your parents are dropping you off at Doc Kramer, the rinks, and we're gonna play till the lights go off at 11.
Yeah, and when they did go off, we jumped over the fence and turned it back on.
That's right, we did. Yeah, it was on a timer.
It was like a 1,000-watt electrical box. We're like, all right, we're gonna pull this down, turn the lights on.
Yeah, that's right. And
but everyone played hockey. It was like a counterculture. Down there playing roller hockey. You had to group, and we had like full 5-on-5 games with subs.
Yeah, sitting on the boards, like just waiting to get in. It was such a great time. I just remember the epic games we have just go back and forth. And I don't think we even skated with helmets. Did you skate with a helmet?
No.
I had elbow pads on and shin pads and then the hockey pants and gloves, and that was it. But the helmet, I never wore a helmet.
Yeah, man. How many times you get hit in the head?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
no.
It goes to show
you. No, it was the Wild West, man.
It really was. But like I said, it goes back to growing the game, and as you just mentioned before, there's so many rinks around us. I mean, and some of the rinks have 3 rinks in them, so it's awesome. Love to see it. But let's get back on track now. Let's get back to the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yep. I was so the home opener for that year on October 11th, they played the Wild. They had members of the 92-93 team in attendance, and they won 4-3 in a shootout. So that was a big win. And just to touch upon the 92 or the 93 team or the 92-93 team, they were 10-70-4.
Holy shit.
They lost 70 games.
Holy shit, that's got to be an NHL record. 70 games?
Yeah.
Wow.
The 92-93 Ottawa Senators, 10-70-4.
Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah. They won one road game.
Yeah, that was back then when expansion teams just didn't have a chance. I mean, you could say the Seattle Kraken now, in a way, are an example of that. Even though
Yeah.
I think maybe in a way they could be a little bit better than they are, but I mean they're not as bad as the Senators were. But holy shit! I mean, they came into the league with the Panthers, I believe, right? Did they come in? Wasn't it Miami and Ottawa coming at the same time?
Yeah, 92-93.
Yeah, yeah. And they played their first three
No,
seasons.
Panthers were 94.
Panthers was it Anaheim? It must have been Anaheim then, right? Or Tampa?
I
Tampa. I think it
think it
was
was Tampa
Tampa.
because I think Anaheim was 95.
Yeah, I remember it was like two pairs of teams at a time. So yeah, I think it was Tampa.
92-93 was Tampa's first season. Yeah,
Okay.
you got that right.
Yeah, so they played at the Ottawa Civic Center, and this had this had a capacity of 9,500 seats in it. And the funny thing is, because John and I just happened to talk about this a few episodes ago about the Arizona Coyotes are playing their games where ASU plays, and it's a 5,000 seat arena, which is a complete embarrassment
That's
as a
terrible.
professional. Terrible.
Well, they're locked out. They're locked out of Glendale.
What a disaster.
Mess.
But on a fun little video to watch, if you go back and you look at the inaugural Ottawa Senators, the opening night, the ceremonies, it was a spectacle. It like they had just all this pop and circumstance going on. It was just crazy. What a pregame ceremony that was. So
They were happy to have hockey back. Like, they were definitely happy to have hockey back. And it's the same
yeah,
thing with all Canadian teams when they go back. Look at Winnipeg when they came back. You know,
yeah, that's a
the fan base is there. So,
oh yeah, it's
Quebec,
definitely
go back,
there.
go back. Yeah.
To bring back the Senators, that was the campaign. They really pulled together for it. And they got good. They became good. They were pretty solid. I mean,
They were in the cup, right? Against the Ducks, I think.
yeah, the Ducks.
Ducks, 06-07.
Yeah, that yeah. They I think they lost in 5 games to the Ducks, but they steamrolled through everybody in 2007. I mean, because I remember they beat the Devils in the second round,
Yep.
but they were always in the mix. They were like another one of those teams like just on the rise. Another fun fact that I had for this season, the 20th anniversary, in addition to the logo, I mean the patch, they had the logo, but the slogan was "Hockey makes us." And I mean, I feel like that could be a little bit better. Hockey makes us, but if you think about it, and I actually watched the 20th anniversary video. I mean, just the passion of the fan base. And they're actually a small Canadian market. They're not big. They're not like Toronto. They're not like Montreal. Or Vancouver. They're just on the smaller side. And I think they've had financial troubles over the years. I actually think they were like borderline going to relocate at some point, a couple times actually.
Yeah. Which I just don't understand. Like,
Yeah, yeah, it's really hard to wrap my brain around. It's like, yeah, you bring the Jets back, and what's going on in Quebec? Like, bring back the Nordiques. I mean, they have a brand new arena, the Videotron Center. Bring them back. And I think they actually put a bid in, I think, when Vegas submitted for the
Oh, really?
expansion team. Yeah. And here's the funny thing. It's always like just a check-in every year, I guess, because I think Gary Bettman met with the city officials in Quebec earlier this year, and still nothing is coming out of it. And I just don't know if that's because of the economy's, rebounding from
Interesting.
COVID. Yeah. So, I mean, who knows? But I think everybody would love to see the Nordiques back in Quebec.
Yeah, as of January 2nd, this article from the Hockey News, Quebec's been, yeah, they want a team. They've been in talks to get a team, and it's just not happening.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they said if the NHL was to grow to 34 teams, Quebec should be on the top of the list and put them in the Eastern Conference. Huh.
Yeah. And I always see what's the latest rumor I saw? It was one team looking like going to, oh, maybe it was the Coyotes actually, possibly relocating to Houston.
It
Can
looks
you
like it's
imagine
like
having
Batman. It's like Batman. It says it's mostly Batman. Oh, moving to
right
Houston? That would be crazy.
two pro teams in Texas? Wow, that would be nuts. But I don't see it. I don't know.
They got the sports market, so
Right.
and I'm sure it'll get like corporate sponsors behind them and everything. So I'm sure that's got a lot to do with it.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back. So Ottawa Senators made a couple key transactions this season. They acquired goaltender Ben Bishop from the St. Louis Blues for a 2013 second round pick, and Ben Bishop would only play a couple of seasons as an Ottawa Senator, and he he recently retired, I think, due to injury,
Huh.
but he was a solid goaltender. And then they also acquired Kyle Turris from the Arizona Coyotes. And and other than that, it was relatively quiet for them. Kyle Kyle Turris would put up, I think, 12 goals in 49 games, 29 points. So 12 goals, 17 assists for 29 points in 49 games for the Senators that season. And then jumping into the Stanley Cup playoffs for this year, they actually took the Rangers to 7. I should say this: the Rangers took them to 7 games.
Yeah.
So the Rangers were in first place of the Eastern Conference, and Ottawa had a chance to clinch the series at home, and they didn't. And then it went back to Madison Square Garden, and they lost the final game. So the Senators won game 2 for a score of 3-2 in overtime, and then they did the same thing, same result in game 4 as well. And then game 5, they won. Craig Anderson had a shutout. Craig Anderson was their starting goaltender this season. Ben Bishop was just brought in really for a backup position, but still he's a solid goaltender. And
Craig Anderson cut his fingers on in a cooking accident or something.
was it this season
I think
that
so.
he did? That's funny. That's that's funny. But yeah, so the Senators they blew it. It was really a tight series, and the Rangers were just such a powerhouse that season. And Rangers, like we talked about in the 85th anniversary show, they were another team like on the rise, getting better and better, and they would go on to the conference finals this season against the Devils and lose in 6 games. How
Yeah.
are you? And
Hey,
but then they make the finals in 2014 against the LA Kings, but they lost to the Kings in 5 games. But anyway, so lots of celebrations for the Senators, and it's cool. 20 seasons. That's an accomplishment in a small market.
so you want to give it a ranking?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's bring this home. So I will give it, and I'll just put the patch up again. Well, this doesn't even work. Why do I do this? What do I?
There you go.
I'm gonna give this a 6.
Okay.
It's just simply because it's simple. It looks nice. It's just a nice looking patch. But I tell you, if they had used the original design, I'd give it a 10. No question.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. So I'm gonna go 6.5. I like what they did. Like I said before, with the numbering, it's pretty simple. It's a really clean looking patch. So 6.5. So we're at what, like 6.25 um, combined. So I think that's a pretty decent patch score.
Yeah, I agree. I was just writing down the score so I don't forget. All right. So that is the Ottawa Senators 20th anniversary patch, and the official Patchman Hockey patch score is 6.25. Not bad. Not
Not
bad at
bad at
all.
all.
It's just okay. And I'm just trying to think. We're still working on a new website. That's still happening right now at the moment. Still working on a new logo. If that's coming.
I know you guys are all
And
waiting for it.
it's I like some of the design so far. We both are. We're just trying to nail it down.
Continuing to come out with stuff on Instagram, so make sure you follow us there. So,
Yes.
trying to stay on top of the latest patch news. You know, when the latest patch news, we're the ones that break it first. So
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we try to break it first. So we're a little
yeah,
late on
I'm
the
still
draw.
waiting to pull up ESPN and be like, new patch comes out for the Blues, broken by Patchman Hockey.
Oh man, that we got to get the inside info about that. That would be awesome. It's like how, well, it's like that stupid like partnership with the WWE and ESPN. First broke by ESPN. Triple H retires. Oh, that's the other thing. Triple H retired.
Oh yeah, no more in-ring wrestling for Hunter. So
The game's over. The game is over.
game
So
over.
shout out to Triple H.
Big
Hell
listener.
of a run. Yeah, big Hunter Hearst Hemsley.
Paul.
Mr. Levesque. And this isn't CM Punk talking to Triple H. This is Phil Brooks talking to Paul Levesque. What a segment. How come my mic's not on? What's going on, Frank? What's going on? Oh my God, that was awesome.
Stuff.
So actually, yeah, we're gonna be recording another episode this week. WrestleMania is next weekend. And yeah, we got to figure out the next patch we're going to do.
Yeah, I got some ideas to share, so we'll talk about that.
Talk about that offline. Hey, John, let's take this offline. Yeah. We'll talk about it offline.
In our daily brainstorming session.
We're going to have a stand-up after this. A sync. I love corporate jargon.
Can you send me an Outlook meeting, please? My calendar's up to date.
Oh, man. Too funny. So,
cool.
All right, guys. So once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening on the podcast. And please subscribe to us. Please follow us on Instagram at Every Hockey Patch. That's Every Hockey Patch. And we really appreciate the following. We have over 300 Instagram followers. We really appreciate that. And we've noticed that our listeners and the viewership has slowly increased. So we thank everybody for that. Keep watching. Every Sunday here, we're dropping new content, new episodes. So please hit the like button. And also, too, please review us. Give us a nice review if you can, if you feel so inclined to. That really helps us. And I saw that we have a couple 5-star reviews on the Apple Podcasts. I just happened to notice that the other day. It's probably from people we know, but that's okay.
It's all right.
Probably from our wives. So, but anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. And stay tuned for next week's episode.
Yeah, we're the Pashman. I'm John. That's Jimmy. Have a good one.
Have a good one.